This is the second in a series doing problem 4-5 on page 246 of that little handout. And I'll point out where I'm here to now. I had drafted a box using align and then offsets. I then offset 2 and 2 and did a fillet. I changed the layer either by grabbing the things like this, click, left click, and either doing right click properties to change, which is going to be quite useful for a lot of things, and changing the layer here. I'll change it one way back to view. Or I learned to left click, and go to view and change it. Or you'll see the quick properties is also something you can do with that. One thing I point out that, at least for my preference, and you can change your preferences you want when you can understand them and control them, I'm changing my object snap settings. I'm making sure that the dynamic input is set with just one dimension, just the length. And so what I did a second at the end of the last video was to take this, more or less copy it on itself and turn it 31 degrees. And we'll do that again in a second. I turn on the dynamic now, and I left click on the thing I want to change. I left click on the length I want to change, and I type in this case, 2.53. And I hit an escape bar there, and my length is changed. Once again, this skill here of turning an angle is quite useful, because very often you're interested in actually the absolute angle between two lines. You definitely what you're interested in when you're doing a land survey, but lots of different things where this comes up. All right, if you got a bad rough carpenter, this probably comes up. So now, once again, what is the way to turn an angle? You have the dynamic on. You left click. You left click on the thing you want to turn it about, and then you remember, I don't want the dynamic on, because all those buttons come at you. So you can use the dynamic, but if you turn the dynamic off, you left click. You left click over the edge there, and you start going spacebar. You get to rotate. You got to remember to do C for copy, and in this case you have to type in -93, because you're in a right-hand coordinate system, which means it's a left-hand coordinate system, which means a right turn. I'm sorry, a right-hand coordinate system, which means a left turn is positive. So I hit there, hit an escape bar, and I've got that. Now you turn the dynamic back on, and you left click. You left click on the edge, and you now change that length to the 8.01 that it is, 8.01. You can then hit escape or right click cancel or whatever works for you. You now have the second length. You turn the dynamic off. You left click. You left click, spacebar, C for copy, and you're going to turn that. It appears to be 82 degrees. One thing you might want to do is go through and with your reading glasses, I would guess, and realize that something already is wrong if I type in 82. Now the first one was 33, the second one was 93, and so I'm guessing that is not 82. I'm using a visual clue here. I'm guessing it's 62. So I can do this. I can still do an undo, which is right there, or U for undo, and I'll try it again. The dynamic is off. I left click, spacebar, C for copy, 62. Takes it now. My visual clue is telling me that I did something right. So that's the difference being mathematically you can actually comp out all of these, and I will do this in this next short video for those of you, I mentioned it before, if you know the direction of a line, you know the direction of the reverse azimuth or the back azimuth, you add the turned angle and you get the next direction of a line. So I'll go through the mathematics and the way you can kind of computate this stuff. But again, now you turn the dynamic on, you go to the thing you want to change the length of, you left click the end you want to change, and then in this case it is 4.78. DE is 4.78. Hit an escape key, turn the dynamic off, left click, left click, spacebar, spacebar C for copy, -107. Turns it there. Escape, escape, dynamic on, left click, dynamic on, left click, left click. You want that to be 7.30. Escape, dynamic off, left click, spacebar, spacebar, C for copy. Now it's a +75. Now at this point you might get confused because you left this really long line, or I would, by going out that far. So we can remember that we can do a break. We don't need that line all the way out anymore. We can do a break and select it anywhere we want. And then go off. If we go out beyond it, we lose the end of it. We're now at leg FG. It is 6.3 long, so we turn the dynamic on. We left click, and we go now and make that 6.03. We have one more left to do. We turn the dynamic off. We left click, spacebar, spacebar. You start to get the rhythm of 2 because you use that one enough. You tell it C for copy, 91. And now once again you turn the dynamic on. You left click, you go and look, and that is 4.10. Now, depending, your hope is that this line goes all the way to that one. There's all kinds of different ways to do this. One thing you can do is check your math. You remember this was 4.10. You can actually do this, F for fillet, grab the object, and then do a list, LI for list, grab the object, and you realize that somewhere in this mathematics, their computations were wrong. But that's supposed to be 4.10. You can actually go through and check, but I think in this case, I went through and did things correctly, and that's just a blow in their dimensions. So we'll talk about in class how you kind of suck up that last one. In all reality, if you assume this is 90 degrees here, that first one is 90 degrees, which is an assumption I made, then this drawing is over-constrained. All right, so we'll just leave it with that and realize we have a bit of a blow here on this one. Now, remember, we draw our circles. So one circle we want to draw is maybe that major interior circle, which is the diameter of 1.92. You want to once again make sure you are on the object layer if you can. Draw all your circles from the pull down. That is given as a center diameter. So you're going to go Shift, right click from the intersection from those strong baselines and give it a diameter of 1.92. And once again, you can do that with the dynamic on or off. We have another circle, which is a diameter of 4.58 that's on the center line layer. So we can either do an offset, or we can once again draw a center diameter. This time I'm going to show you how to do the Shift, right click, center, and you don't need to grab the center. You get near the circle and it grabs the center. And in this case, the diameter we want is 4.58. It's a great idea once you draft a circle like that, however, to right away click it, and then I'll show you finally the quick properties. If you had design, you can grab and change the layer of the object and make it a center line. There's going to be even better ways, you'll see, to get things on the correct layers and the correct colors so your brain can make sense of what's going on. We have now that, and the last thing we have is 6 circles at a diameter of 1. Once again, circle, center diameter. We can grab it, Shift, right click from the intersection of that with a radius or a diameter of 1. And finally, keeping on this theme, we can go and we're going to left click, right, and then left click, spacebar, spacebar. We want to rotate, but we want to change B, the base point. The new base point is going to be the intersection of here. And you're going to change it a rotation angle of 60 degrees. And I forgot to do the copy, but I'm out of time. That's all I'll do for this one. Figure the rest out. Thanks for listening.